Hey, photographers, creatives. This is the Focus Shift podcast, your best listening experience for creating your best online business. We'll focus on topics that help you get discovered. So sit back, listen, take notes if you like, and get excited about growing your business.
Today, we got a special event. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Kate DeCoste, a talented photographer and the creative force behind a thriving headshot photography business. Kate has carved out a powerful niche helping professionals show up confidently and authentically in front of the camera. Whether it's for LinkedIn or personal branding or an entire corporate team, she has an incredible gift of making people feel at ease, and her clean, confident style has become her signature. Beyond the camera, Kate is also the host of The One Behind the Lens, a podcast where she shares real conversations and behind-the-scenes insights from the world of photography. Through her podcast, she has been helping other photographers grow their business, refine their craft, and find more joy in what they do. In today's conversation, we'll dive into how Kate built her headshot brand from the ground up, the systems and strategies that fuel her success, and what other photographers can learn from her approach to both her business and client experience. Let's welcome Kate. Kate, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thank you.
Well, if no one really knows who you are yet, let's get them accustomed to who you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in the photography business, and what drew you specifically to headshots and branding photography?
So I have a background in theater. Like that's what I thought I'd be doing for my entire life. Like I was a stage manager. And then when I was going to be 30, I was like, I needed just a break from New York and from theater. And I was kind of in New York, you can sign a lease for like 2 years for an apartment. And I was at that time of like going to sign a lease. And I was like, do I sign this lease or do I like go back to Nebraska and just have like a moment of clarity? And so I decided to do that. And I've always, as a kid and in college, I was just on the track of doing something in theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really like explored other things. So I always had loved taking photos. Like I always was the person that had a camera at a party at any time. I always was taking pictures just because I wanted to capture like the moment. And so I decided I'm going to go and take some classes. There's a community college not that far from my hometown. And they had classes that you could take, and you could take film classes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started just doing that, and I would still do theater. Like I would go back to New York. I went to the Berkshires, and this is when I was in the Berkshires doing a show, and I was photographing the actors and stuff, just not doing like anything, like just photographing them.
Yeah.
And they were like, those are really great. Like, how come why don't you just do this? And I was like, well, I don't know, and cut to, I basically just came back home, and I just decided to try to start a business, and here we are. And that was in 2008, 2009. And we're here. So,
So in the theater company, were you thinking maybe you would be like a director or something at some point?
no, I did direct like in college, but
Mm-hmm.
I always was a stage manager as like professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do like little things. I don't do it anymore, but I was doing like the one act up at the high school and things like that here in my hometown that I was directing. Because I feel like stage managers always do. Sometimes they'll turn into directors.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I would have stayed in New York, I probably would have stayed as a stage manager.
Yeah, and I was kind of the same way. When in high school, I was the kid with the camera, and I was always taking photos, mostly around like athletes and stuff like that. So there was just like, hey, who's that nerdy guy snapping cool photos and stuff like that, or with the video camera. So yeah, I totally understand. You're taking photos, and I feel like that maybe got you accustomed to being around like professionals who need headshots in general anyway.
Yes, definitely. And I feel like and I think with the theater and just being around actors and doing their photos, I mean, I was always looking at their, at their face. And you always
Yeah.
look at in theater, I mean, yes, you're looking at everything, I mean, their entire body, I guess, when you're
Mhm.
watching shows, but you always want to like watch their expressions on their face. So I think that kind of drew me in with headshots.
Yeah, I was about to ask, is that the moment when you realize maybe headshots could be a niche in part of your business as a photographer?
Yes, yeah. And I think it was because I could, well, and some of the actors that I would work with, they were like, "Well, can you take my headshots?" Before, like, I was even
Of course.
doing this. So yeah, so I do think that was more of something that I was would be more accustomed to because it's something that I already kind of knew a little bit about.
So you went back home from New York with
Yeah.
this new aspiration in life. You're going to be was photography already something that was already marinating? I'm going to do photos. Was it any style at that point, or was headshots and business kind of there?
No, not at all. Like when I first came back, I didn't actually think I would stay, and I did not think I was going to become a business owner or a photographer. I really just thought I just needed a little break and I would go back to theater and to New York.
Mhm.
Um, but here we are.
So how did it evolve out of that? Where was the seed of like, okay, I'm planning here. I'm gonna actually start a business. Talk about that.
So there's a few, I guess, a few things. So really like the what I said about the Berkshires and the actors being like you could do this as a career, as a job if you wanted to, if you didn't want to, because I was still kind of that way where I was like I loved theater and I still do and I loved being a stage manager. Um but I just didn't know if that's exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And then when I was home and still, doing classes and still, I stayed longer than I had really planned. But then my mom got sick with cancer, and I knew that I wasn't going to go anywhere. Like I was supposed to actually go to Milwaukee to do a show. Um, and I was like, my mom was in the hospital and,
Yeah.
things weren't that great at that point. And I was just like, yeah, I can't leave.
Yeah.
Um, so then that honestly was just like, well, you're going to stay here and at least for a while, um, I guess you're going to start a new business.
Well, I
Is
mean,
kind
that
of really what it kind of came down to. And yeah.
so growing your business here, how, especially since you were gone away for a while, what was it like starting, I guess you could say literally starting over, especially in a new industry, new idea, new concept? Was headshots always kind of a part of the idea, or did it kind of evolve out of that?
It kind of evolved because I honestly, when I first started the business, I was just photographing anything. And I was doing where I was just doing things, friends, college
Mhm.
friends, high school friends, anybody. Hey, can I really, I was then was like, I need to build my portfolio. So then I was kind of doing free things and things like that. But at that point, I really didn't know exactly what I was going to love and not love.
Mhm.
So I was doing kids, families, newborns, weddings. Like I did everything.
Yes. Yeah, I was kind of in that same boat for a while. I was like, I don't know what I was really into. I think I figured out eventually it was videography the most and film that way. And motion was what captivated me the most.
Mm,
I definitely found out I didn't like weddings, just because it's a longer process and day, and a lot of more
yes.
emotions are involved. I guess at the end of the day,
Yes.
and there's a checklist.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I'm a capture in the moment type of person, so yeah, it was always
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to get this, I have to get this, or someone will be upset I didn't get that moment versus me finding something organically. Um,
Yes.
and I see, looking at the work that you've done, you do a lot of different things, but when did you start to say, hey, headshots is the unique, thing that I want to put out there to the world, especially in the location that you're at?
Well, I love because like just kind of like you're saying about weddings, it is such a like, and I kudos to all the wedding photographers, but it
Yeah.
is not for me either.
More power to
Um,
them.
and and I love having someone, and most of the time they are coming into the studio. I do things on location as well. Like I'll go to people like to their building and things like that to do shots. But most of the time it's individuals coming to the studio. And I love people and I love building relationships. And even if it is for that little short amount of time, and I love too when people are coming in and they're like, I hate getting my photo taken. Like that's like one of the first things I hear. You know, I hate my photos. I never look good, and so good luck is like kind of like what what
Challenge.
they'll say. And I just love having where they come in and I'm not just like, okay, sit there. I'm going to take your photo. Like we have conversations where,
Mhm.
I'm learning a little bit about them. And in between that, I'm photographing them. And so then I'm genuinely trying to get who they are. And it's not just like the school photo, if you think of, where you just sit, smile and go. Um, so I loved that part of it.
Mhm.
And I think that's why I just kind of gravitate towards just building on that.
Mhm.
And also, we are now in that day and age of it doesn't matter who you are. It used to be kind of like if you were an actor, you had your headshot taken, but if you weren't in any other industry, you didn't need a headshot.
Yeah.
Well, now everybody needs a picture
Yeah.
on online. Like you need something, people want to see you.
Mhm.
Um, so I enjoy, and even though it is fun to have, like, I'll photograph some, like a lot of kid actors that are in like Lincoln and Omaha, I'll photograph, and they're fun as well. But um, having those people that come in and they're like, I hate my photo, and then I show them, and they're like, oh my gosh,
What
that's
a
me.
rewarding feeling, right? Like when you're able
Yes,
to take someone, especially like people who might be more closed in on themselves or like don't think they have the expressions, but then you find it for them. Isn't it wonderful to see that result at the end, especially when they come in like good luck.
yeah,
Yeah, I love it. And headshots are very unique because it is you're presenting yourself in a different manner, especially with an online component now with social media. Everybody wants to have I guess you could almost say an avatar that represents who they are, past, present, and even future at the same time with a headshot. So it has to feel like unique, but also packaged.
right.
And I think, especially as we go into more branding type of photography, right? So, like
Yes,
you said,
yes.
this little kid has to look good. Like, you might have to give him a series of different photos, like happy, sad, fearful, who knows?
Yes, yes. Yeah. And it is interesting. That's another interesting like thing too, because you'll have where they come in and it's an agency that's telling us what
Mhm.
they need or their manager or whatever. So that's always interesting too, to be like, and now even with kids, a lot of them will need like full body. And I'm guessing with adult actors too, but most of the time I'm doing kids. But it's kind of interesting how that has evolved
Yeah.
from when I was really into it.
Oh yeah. I remember when I was directing short films and stuff through college and, a little bit freelance time. Headshots, just getting headshots, and it was always the same type of style, but now, like, I go online, it's, like, completely, like, evolved.
Yes. Well, and two, when I did because I did do a headshot like in college one time, and they were all black and white,
Oh, yeah.
and now it's color.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and do you think that is just the market changing itself, or is it because of online presence? You gotta be something that stands out? What do you think is making that change?
For going from black and white to color.
Yeah, and just even the headshots even evolving from, like, just static headshots to now for more full body.
I feel like Yeah, I feel like, well, I think for that industry, they're like, well, we are in color. So they
Hmm.
want to see, instead of putting, I mean, yes, you put on your resume, like, I have brown hair, brown eyes,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. But I think they want to actually see it. And I do think it is because we do live on, like, we can see all of these things online where before
Hmm.
we didn't have that. So I do think that's what it is. And I'm not really sure on why they want to see like full body and things like that. I'm guessing just to see exactly what you look like. And if they're like, because in that industry, it's like mainly, it really is kind of what you look like. If
Yeah.
that's what they're wanting, if that's what in their head, they're like, for this is the kid we need.
Hmm.
So yeah, I do think it is because of the evolving, like, everything, we can see everything online.
Yeah, I think it's just evolved to that point where they want to see the real deal when it shows up,
Yeah.
and so we're talking about primarily actors and stuff, but I'm sure you've worked with corporations and things like that through it. So through the market that you're working through in that area, how you differentiate your headshots from competitors in the same market? Do you have a large competitor pool, or are you kind of the only one really there? What's it like?
So for my small town, we actually have a few photographers. Like, I always have where people are like, "Oh, you must do everything in your town," and because we're only about 5,000 people.
Okay.
And I'm like, nope, we actually do have some other photographers that are great photographers. We all kind of have our own, well, every photographer has their own style,
Yeah.
and their own niche as well. But then I am very close to Lincoln and Omaha. So Omaha, really in either direction, I can hit Lincoln or Omaha in 30 minutes.
Hmm.
So I do have to try to get into those markets as well, and not just try to be in the pool of my town. Um, and I know for I feel like my approach, basically, with it being personal, I had a client who I photographed like years ago when Facebook did like an event in Omaha,
Okay.
and Facebook had me come and do headshots.
Oh.
And I don't really know how I think they just found me on Google. And Facebook paid for it, and if you were at this event, you could get your photo taken. Well, this woman who I photographed there, and like, this was like probably 10 years ago. Um, she reached out because she works for a company in Omaha, and because she was like, that was my favorite photo of me.
Oh, wow.
And she's a marketing person for this company, and they needed a photographer for headshots. And so I go there a lot. Like, they'll have new incoming staff or, whatever. And so I go there a lot. So yeah. So that was like one of those moments where I was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the ideal client, someone that just keeps you in the back pocket, like, "Hey, we got someone new, come shoot it. Hey, come over here. We're doing something new."
yes, yes. And you're talking about like with corporate, they use those photos really for internal. Like,
Mhm.
they don't, it's not something they put out online, and it's a huge company. So it's just for people to be like, oh, that's who I might be talking to, or who, so
Yeah.
they can see in their directory.
Mhm.
So, but they still wanted um, professional shots for that. And those people can use them if they want to use them for like their signature or whatever. They can use it.
And I think this kind of rolls into the next question about how do you help clients understand the value of a professional headshot? Especially corporate seems to kind of understand that, but there's still stigmas out there. When we see things, especially in the era of selfies and smartphones, everyone's always like, "Well, I could just take the shot myself." But then you see the shot and you're like, "Well," in their like little thumbnail, and you're like, "Well, they didn't get a professional, obviously." So what's it like?
I know. And that's the thing where I will see things online and things like that where they're like, if you just take your own and you can put your own background and whatever. The thing is, yes, you can. You can grab your phone and you can take a picture on it, but you don't know lighting, you don't know how to pose. And I mean, and maybe you do, I don't know. But most people don't. And to be honest with you, it's even harder to pose yourself compared to posing someone else. Like,
Mhm.
even when I get in front of a camera, if I get my headshot taken, I'm like, all of a sudden I don't remember anything that I that I know as of when I'm behind the camera.
I'm terrible.
And so, and so I just say again, you're not going to get the professional lighting, you're not going to get the professional direction. Um, And why not just, why splurge on photos, say like for your wedding, but you're not, splurging on yourself for a
Yeah.
nice portrait of yourself or a headshot?
And especially now, like outside of corporate, we're getting, and even actors, like like you said, everyone has these photos now. So branding is playing a very big part of the online personas. Like it's crazy to think about, like, the mom down the street might have a beautiful branded photo now as their representative of their image. So how does that play into like how your business functions as like personal branding and headshot sessions?
Well, I feel like too, when you look at someone, if it is something like maybe it is a small business or
Mhm.
anything like that, and you look at their website and they stand out with those were professional.
Yeah.
I feel like that makes you as like that for me, that makes me go, okay, these people are like, they're
They
serious,
care. Yeah.
they care.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. um and that's going to probably make me want to go shop with them or get whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I just feel like if and it is like everybody I do feel like does have branded photos. I mainly am doing more of like just the head and shoulder, and I will do some branding type things, but for some reason I'm more known for the headshot,
Mhm.
just that slick professional headshot. Um, but I do feel like for any industry anymore, like if you want to stand out and get those branded photos for whatever it is, you're going to want to, even if you're an influencer, you're going to
Yeah.
want those really good photos compared to, because again, everybody is doing it. And you want to somehow stand out.
Yeah, it's funny because like you work with a lot of children actors and stuff. Because obviously they're gonna have it, but my kids don't. They don't need photos like that. But they are even like, oh, they know about branding and stuff like that these days because it's talked throughout. Everything now these days. Oh, you got to have this or that. So for them, like I got my son who's 7 who's like, well, I need a better photo, Dad. I'm like, what do you mean you need a better photo? Like he's like, well, I gotta look good, or and it's like them interpolating that. It's very funny to me because they're like, oh my gosh, we've built these little people to already be accustomed of like what is normalized as like a branded package in a way.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah, it's like my kids know buzzwords from school. I'm like, this is so wild to me.
Yes, yes. And what was he going to use this photo for? Like, what was he like?
Who knows?
Yeah,
Just for
he just
himself.
heard it at school.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just putting on like his own like little iPad or something to look at later.
Yes.
But it's just funny that it's those terms that they're familiar with and like what looks good these days. They're already familiar with those things as like trustworthiness, I guess, at the end of the day. Like, oh, we
Yeah,
gotta have a good
yeah,
photo, right?
yeah. Well, I like that. Then he'll be like, "Oh, I got to find a good photographer
Oh,
to."
that's right. Yeah, he's definitely already going to be looking for that. Dad, I need that. Okay. So, talking about the creative and technical process now, could you walk us through like a typical headshot session from start to finish? What's your day like?
So yeah, so I will get their information through the website, and the questions on there, like I even ask like, not even just like I have a couple different packages of sessions. They will choose that, like which one they're kind of looking for. Um, I ask even about what day of the week works, like weekdays, weekends. I put in there that weekends are very limited. I ask a question about, do you like mornings or afternoons? Just because I know I could have where you can just schedule, but I haven't gotten to that level yet. But I just kind of ask them those types of questions so that when I go to reply to them, I already can then, there's not a lot of back and forth where I can say, okay, I know that they want weekdays, and they might even, I do have where like, do you have anything else to share with Kate
Mhm.
at the bottom? So some people will say like, Thursday mornings are going to be my best time or something like that. So then when I do reply to them, I can just say like, here are some dates and some times, let me know. And I usually will give them 2 or 3 options
Mhm.
and just see, which one will work for them. And if not, usually it will, but one of those will work. But if not, I always just say, if none of these will work, we can look further into the month or whatever. I do ask on that form too what they're planning to use it for, because
Mhm.
then I kind of get an idea of what the session is going to be. And I know if they're only choosing, like, I do have what I call the professional, and it is just a 20-minute quick session. So I know if they're choosing that one, they're not like wanting a full on branding session,
Yeah.
but I do like just to know, are they using it for the website, their LinkedIn? I've even had where people are like, I just got picked for this honor,
Mhm.
and they want a headshot. Or I had someone who was doing like a TEDx talk, and he was like, I need a new headshot for this.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I did want, with that too, going with that of knowing what they're using it for. The TEDx shot, we kind of did a little bit different than your corporate headshot. Like
Mhm.
we did it more kind of like a playwright or an author
Oh,
type
okay.
headshot, like you would see on, a back of a book, more than hire me
Yeah.
headshot.
No, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
the headshot has now become like the cathartic get a haircut. Like when you want to change something or like, oh, I'm going to be on TEDx, I gotta have a headshot now. It's like
yes,
getting your haircut. Yeah.
yes, yes.
It's cleansing. Yes, it's nice. I think I even had that myself. I lost like a ton of weight like a couple years ago, and I was like, well, I got to get photos. In my head, I
Yeah.
don't know why, because I was maybe hated all my past few year photos. So I was like, well, got to get nice. I hired a photographer, did some family photos. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, yeah, you definitely have to do. I feel like any kind of those like milestones, like I feel like you definitely need to do. We do that with our kids, like,
Yeah.
they're like turning 1, 2, um, we can still have those too.
Yeah, it's like we forget that we can still have something. It's like when we forget our birthdays. It's like, who cares
Yeah,
anymore? But we
I
should
know.
celebrate once in a while, like those little moments.
Yes, yes.
So walking them through the entire setup, they get the photographs. Now, when you've shot with them, do you do any digital? Is it all digital distribution back to them? Do you do any prints, or how's that work?
For headshots, it's gonna be digital because I just know that's what they're want that's what they want,
Hmm.
and that's what they're gonna like need more. Um, Now sometimes I will have people that will want me to print. Because I've even done like headshots more like, I mean, more, it's more portrait style. But even for like people they're like thinking about they're gonna pass away and they want like a
Oh,
nicer, like they're not passing away like when they're taking it, but but they're thinking ahead
yeah,
of time, and they're like, I would like a nice portrait. I don't want my kids to just pick something
yeah. No, I
and
get it.
like cut me out of it. So yeah, so then I do have prints sometimes too, because they're like, well, I'll take the digital and the print to so that my kids have it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, I totally understand that though. I mean, I've I've been to funerals where like they didn't even have a photo of the person
Right.
that passed, and like
Right.
having that kind of it's sad, especially with the older generations because they're maybe not so technologically bound like some of us are now. They might have no photographs other than ones in a book that are now even gone.
Right.
So
Yes.
yeah, I that's very important. I never thought that like a memorial headshot and like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and I mean, kudos to people who are like, because you don't think ahead of stuff like that. Like, at least I don't. But like, they make me then go, oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So when talking about like shooting, we talked a little bit about like, oh, they come in and say you can't make me look good. What do you do to break those boundaries? Is there something like a little secret sauce that you have to like make people, have that decompression, sit back, relax? Are you very hands-on to the approach of like telling them how to turn? Are you actually physically making the moves themselves? What's your approach like when it comes to actually helping the client out?
So I'm gonna like have conversations. I love to laugh. Like, people will always be like, your laugh is contagious. So I'm constantly having a conversation with them. But then when I'm posing them, I don't usually physically like pose every once in a while. Like, if I'm like helping with their hair or things like that. But I'm gonna do it with them. Like, I'm just gonna be like, you're gonna turn, because even like most people will know their left and right, but when you get in a situation, you're just like nervous, whatever, you don't know what's up and down. So I just turn with them, or I'll just, so that they can mirror what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And it's funny because I'll do something else with my hand, not for them. Like, I might be talking and they'll do it. So I know
Yeah,
that they're totally watching what I'm doing.
yeah.
um that always, to me, helps them. If I'm especially if I'm even if they're sitting, if I just turn my body, they know. Or I will, a lot of times, even when I'm shooting, and I'll just say, like, slightly turn your head this way, and I just will turn my head as well towards the way. Or I might kind of do like a little like point. um but I usually, it's the mirroring really helps people.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's probably a smart way of doing it. If they're able to mimic what you are presenting to them, they can move their posture, their even like relax themselves more. And like you said, like
Mhm.
we this is our second time ever really speaking. Like
Yeah.
we've talked through emails, but this is our second time actually speaking because I was actually on your show before.
Yeah.
But it is nice to talk to you because there is an infectious quality to talk to you, something about the way you present yourself, the humor, everything else. Like we went on before we started, like just 5 minutes before, and we were already laughing. So it's just that really is a great icebreaker for people if you're able to interject humor somehow to relax them because they might be meeting you for the first time ever, not knowing who you look
Yes.
like. I always tell a photographer, please make sure you have a photo of yourself on your website. And they're like, well, I don't like
Yes.
taking photos. And I'm like, come on, you're a photographer.
I
You got to do it. Just please. I know. Get someone else to take your photos if it's a photographer, like
Right. Yes. I
but
know. Well, and I mean, I definitely say that there is something to that. Like, to put your photo on, and because I've even had where I had a gentleman that was like, I chose you because you just looked like you were someone fun to work with. Like, because I mean, I do have some videos on my website as
Mhm.
well, like on the headshot like page, on the senior page, just to be like, hey, and just introduce myself, so you do kind of get a little bit about who I am or something
Yeah.
like that too. But I do think just even having just your headshot picture, whatever, on there, um, people will just be able to see you and feel like they're connecting with you.
All right. Now let's get to the meat that most people are probably here for anyway, the business and marketing stuff. So when it comes to your market, how do you actually market your headshots? What are you doing to bring in consistent clients that way?
I feel like the main thing that I am doing is the SEO, getting Google to put me out there.
Mhm.
And I didn't say this on my forms, on all of my forms, if it's seniors, headshots, um, I have a question that asks, where did you find me?
Mm.
And most of the time it's going to be Google
Wow.
has taken them to me. Yeah.
I think
And
that's a smart
so,
idea, having that directly on the form, because it really tells you where to put if you need to spend dollars, where you're putting it.
yeah, yeah. And really when I did it, I honestly did it because I was just like, well, if someone refers, I mean, I'd like to give that, something back.
Sure.
And I do get some referrals, but it's really a lot more is Google. So I just make sure I just keep up with that because that's what's working.
I mean, that's what I try to tell photographers. We invest a lot of time and energy in social media, but like
Mhm.
good old Google is still where a lot of people will do their secondary research, and then that's where they make those decisions. Because now we have like Google My Business profiles and stuff like that, where
Mhm.
if you have that set up, please have that set up because that's where people leave reviews, and reviews are still the best referral partner that you can have, and Google's working on your behalf. So it totally makes sense to me that, Google's working strong for you that way.
Yeah, and I feel like, it's like a free tool, like just, I'm not putting ads out on like Facebook or anything like that. Like I have in the past, but I haven't for a very long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would definitely set that up.
So, do you focus on individual clients more often, or are you looking for those corporate contracts, or is it a mixture of both?
I would say it's a mixture of both.
Hmm.
I do love like getting those bigger contracts where I'm going to them and I love having um the where they're coming back where they're
Yeah.
like, oh, we have someone new. I do love that, though it can, when you're doing something that's like big
Hmm.
and it's a bunch of people, it is exhausting.
Yeah.
And you are trying to like, it's almost like a wedding in the sense where there's so many people and you're trying to be that person that's keeping them relaxed, but also making sure that you're on time because usually you're on like a schedule, and and all that, where versus like if they're coming into the studio it's just a one-on-one. I
Hmm.
think I just love one-on-one better. I just feel like I get to know people better that way,
Yeah.
but I do love the mix.
No, and I think it's wonderful. It's almost like you become almost like their staff photographer at some point, right? So,
Yes.
does it
Yes.
does it ever roll into like them asking for like event photography or anything?
Yeah, so I've that, or I mean, I'm not really a family like I don't, I mean, I put out there that I do portraits. I don't say
Yeah.
like family, but I will, but
Mhm.
that will roll into like if I photograph someone at a corporate thing, they're like, "Do you do families? Do you do like?" And so you can get, more work out of that as well.
Now, when it comes to pricing your headshots, what advice would you give to struggling photographers about pricing confidence? I feel like we play in this age where, especially if you're brand new to it, or maybe you're just trying to change your market from like weddings to headshots, you immediately start to undercut yourself right away because you want to try to maximize volume versus quality in a way, right?
Right.
Who might not be the right client, but you want to be like, hey, look at me. What would you tell those types of photographers what they should think about when it comes to their pricing?
Well, like you said, don't undercut yourself. I get it if like say if you haven't done any kind of say if you're just getting it, you've never done a headshot and you're just trying to get into it.
Hmm.
If you want to say do something, say the session is going to be complimentary or free, but you're not giving everything. for free. Like
Yeah.
say that, like if you're going to spend 20, 30 minutes with somebody, that can be for just to build your portfolio. But then if you're going to do digitals, then they have to pay for those.
Yeah.
Like you have to put value to it, even if you are just starting out.
Yeah. So bringing it back to relationships and such, what are your thoughts on offering mini headshot sessions versus like full sessions? Because, when you're doing minis, you kind of having to run through as many as possible to maximize that volume. But with the full sessions, it's more curated, it's more thoughtful towards that individual versus, hey, we have this stock session type available. So what are your thoughts on those two types?
Well, I feel like for headshots, mini sessions, I just don't know if I would do that because it and I like I said I mean I only had 20-minute session, so to me that is kind of
Yeah, yeah.
mini, but I still am spending more time with you before, like like we're chatting and I'm not like hitting the clock or anything like that. Um but if you're doing something like a mini session and if people are like rolling in, like if it's something like it's like a
Yeah.
day of minis and you got people back to back,
Hmm.
that relationship, you're not going to build it at
Yeah.
all. And I just feel like you're not going to have enough time to really get who they are. Like I'm sure you'll get a nice headshot, but as many people that come in and they're nervous,
Hmm.
that first photo is not gonna for me is probably not gonna be the one that is one that I'm even gonna show them.
Yeah.
And because from beginning to end they're gonna relax a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if you're doing something super quick, if that's gonna.
No, I get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you're now cutting down your 20-minute already shorty sessions to like 5-minute ones to
Yeah.
try to get it's just you're not even gonna find pride in that work, I feel like. So like,
Hmm.
I get trying to get as many as you can for, sake of money, but like you want this work to stand on its own for years, hopefully. Um,
Right.
and I just, yeah, seeing that in that type of session format, I just don't think it's as valuable. Now, you'll probably do something like that anyway with corporate headshots, where it's like, hey, they want to have it like this systematically. But this kind of goes into the
Yes.
next question. Do you do in studio for that type of work, or are you having to go to locations, especially for company shoots? How does that change your approach to that work?
So most of the time, if it's like a corporate type thing, I am going to them. Like I go the company I have referred to a few times. I go to them for all of theirs. Um, and then like I have another one coming up in October that they're having a retreat at like this lodge
Hmm.
that's like an hour away from me. And since they're having all of their people there, they're having me come there. So it is interesting because you have to bring all your stuff. You're like putting the studio into your car, and sometimes they'll want like the the environment when they're there, and then some don't. Like some are like we want it to look like we were in a studio.
Oh, okay.
um so you kind of have to, like the one that I do all the time, I actually use a digital background for them because then I know it's just going to be this exact same. And then I shoot them in the exact same area of this building. I use the same lighting. um and yeah, it's just so that they want it to look very uniform, like they photographed all of them that same day. um so I do charge for, when you have me come, I do charge a setup travel fee because I have a place that you can come to. So that's what, yeah, I'm like, I have to bring it all to you, um, and get it all set up. So I do price it a little differently for that as well. Um, but then as far as this, And photographing them, I just have to know like exactly what they're looking for. Like, are they wanting it to look like they're in a studio, a studio setup, or like with this lodge, they kind of want the more environment. Um, but I still have to bring bring in lighting, but I don't have to bring in like a backdrop or anything like that.
No, I completely get that. And because now you're out of your comfort zone in a way, and you're having to figure out this new puzzle to solve to make sure it's in digital backgrounds makes total sense. I was curious about that as well, because when it comes to lighting, I had this one photographer telling me like, well, what made them different? And it was like, well, I like differently my subjects compared to other headshot photography. Is that something that you're seeing? Is like, how is headshots evolving in that realm? Is lighting changing as well?
I do think that lighting is changing because when I like just starting out with like portraits and things like that, I remember like the lighting setup was just a lot different. Like I remember like the whole thing of like hair light and things like that. And I don't feel like that's like a thing that we worry about as much. I started doing like probably 2 years ago, I was working with Peter Hurley, and
Hmm.
he has like a program and stuff. And his approach to lighting is way different than I had ever done for headshots, where you actually are lighting a female and a male differently, which makes sense because
Hmm.
there's things that women want to highlight that men don't, and vice versa. Um, and we're not worried about like a hair light or really even bringing like I used to have a setup that I would have like lights behind and in front, where now how I do headshots, all of the lighting is going to be more in front and maybe just like around just a
Hmm.
little bit. And for women, it's more like a triangle type thing that I'm then like in the triangle and you're in the triangle. Like, yeah, it is a little bit different versus where like then men, it's more like I have two lights that are a little bit like vertical. And it kind of, the women, I have this light that's going to be at the bottom so there's no shadowing here, where men might want like that shadowing there
Yeah.
where women wouldn't. So yeah, I do feel like there is that, and that's going to help you stand out as well. It's not a flat lighting, but you're still getting like some shadows and more depth as well.
Hmm. So we're approaching closer to the end, and just a few questions before we get there. But how did you scale or keep yourself busy in this industry? Headshots can feel like sometimes like a one-off for some people. Are there other things that you're doing to keep it from being stagnant?
As for like as far as like headshots,
Hmm.
so yes, they can be like where you're like, well, I'll probably see you in like 5 years. um Doing those, if you can get like say those corporate gigs, is really nice. Like I also work with universities around Lincoln and Omaha as well, so there is going to need, and this is a little bit different than like they're going to want the headshots,
Hmm.
um but they're also going to want you to come and maybe do like some event,
Hmm.
or like there's a college in Lincoln or university in Lincoln gonna do some rebranding. So we're going to do more branding shots for the school, where we're going to have students and teachers and things like that interacting. Um, if that's not exactly what you want to be doing, maybe that's not, you know, this advice isn't for you, but that has always kind of helped.
And that kind of rolls into like building on those relationships. I think that's the big key is like if you don't feel like that industry is like for some people it might not be sustainable depending on where they're located at, but keeping those relationships is kind of how that keeps it going. So they, especially with the corporate gigs, hopefully they're thinking about you long term. Like, hey, I know it's been a few years, but it's time for those shots again. We have a new
Mm,
staff member or new entire everything. We need to rely
hmm
on you. So, and
Yes.
this might be harder of a question, but in because maybe the style of photography, but is there a memorable headshot session that you've done, and why so? Why do you think that might be memorable for you?
Um, I guess probably the one that is coming to mind is a person that literally she was just like, I am not going to like these. Like she literally was just like, I have to get these done
Hmm.
and but I'm not going to like them. And just so you know, and and she was like, it's no offense to you. It's just that I don't like getting my photos taken.
Mhm.
And when I showed her, like I use an iPad and I'll show I don't do that for like a lot of I only do this for headshots
Mhm.
if they want to see what it's looking like. But when she saw and it was just, nothing, I hadn't done anything. It was straight out of camera. And when she looked at it, first of all, her face kind of dropped. And at first I thought, oh, gosh, like she's like, this is not good. But it was the opposite. She was like kind of just blown away by like what she looked like. And I think it really is because just again building a relationship and I was getting her just relaxed and
Mhm.
being her and lighting her, it wasn't she would always, because she'd always say like like I don't ever look good in selfies,
Uh,
and this isn't a selfie. So so that probably is the one that stood out. Like she literally was like, I'm not gonna like any of these, but then kind of fell off of her chair
yeah. I love
when.
that you turned that negativity around. That because that is so hard because they bring that energy to the
Mhm,
session,
mhm.
and you are the one that has to decode that. You're the one that's
Yes.
having to reprogram them to like, no, relax, and like sometimes you can't tell that to someone. You can't tell them to loosen up because either they're incapable because they've already got it in their mind. It's not going to be great, but
Right.
somehow you have to navigate this puzzle to make that aha moment to happen to them. And for you, it's great, but for them, it's even better.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And it just makes your day, like
Yeah.
knowing that you made somebody else, even if it is just for that moment or that day or what a week, to made them feel good about themselves. Like, and I didn't become a photographer to do that, but then it's kind of like now that is kind of now my why of like
Yeah.
making you just having, have a good day and feel good about yourself.
And, this kind of rolls into the next part of this is like, you started the One Behind the Lens, which is a podcast for photographers. And, we're going to ask some questions like for advice, for other photographers.
Mhm.
Primarily, the show is about getting other professionals or other people, experts in these industries. I came on to talk about SEO on there. Um,
Mhm.
but like you talking to other people, what is something you wish you knew when you first started your headshot portion of the business, especially in your location or anything like that? Is there something that you wish you knew before you started?
I think, and I feel like this is probably for every photographer is
Mhm.
like for pricing,
Yeah.
like just and the confidence of this is a business. Like especially when you come from like an art, it's like theater and art. And I mean, yes, I got paid for theater, but it was mainly it was because I was part of a union and that's what they told me I had to be paid. I didn't have to negotiate it. And I think it's hard, especially as an individual. And this is even for just any business owner, it's just you. So people sometimes it's hard to be like, yes, this is my price.
Hmm.
So I think it's pricing. I wish I had a little bit more about, and then just being super, super confident in this is what it is.
And does it
It's
does it does that kind of roll into like common mistakes you might see photographers are making as well? Like, are there some things that any other things that you might be able to say like, "Hey, don't do that"?
Yeah, and it's that thing of like, yeah, pricing and the don't give everything away
Yeah.
either. Because even if you are priced, like say if you're like, I am charging, and they're like, because I'll see this a lot, on like community boards and things like that, where it'll be a new photographer and they're doing a session and I don't, whatever session it is, family, seniors, and they're like, it's $75 and it's 3 hours and you get all of your digitals, and it's like, you're not going to be able to sustain that
No.
and you're going to totally burn out,
Yeah,
you know?
that's
So
crazy. But
yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen it too. Uh,
yeah.
or they're relying totally on social proof of like, oh, they'll tag me and they got a big profile, so it'll make a difference that that one share is going to get me thousands of customers, which rarely does it anything happen like that.
Right, right. I know. I love like those memes and things like that where it's like, shares don't eat like don't pay your bills,
Yeah.
likes don't, all of that kind of stuff where you have to treat it as a business. And I get it that it is hard
Yeah.
to do it, but you just if you can do it and yeah, you just kind of have to just try to do it right out of the gate.
Now, say that they're in another type of style of photography and they're interested in getting into headshots. What would you tell them that could help them in transitioning into that?
Definitely look for it because it is different. Like if you're a family photographer and then you want to do headshots, like it is different. It's a different approach. It's going to be different lighting. Um, Mainly you're going to want a studio set up. And even if it is like, if you have a studio, or I know that there's places where you can rent
Hmm.
studios, so kind of look at that as well. And I would say then you're going to have, if you don't use lighting, if you're going to have to do some like educational type things like
Mm.
workshops and things like that to start learning. It's like I knew about lighting, but then I didn't know like say Peter Hurley's way of lighting. So,
Oh yeah.
just I even though I'd been a photographer for 14 years, I'm still, or now 16 years, like I'm still learning. So you are constantly learning, and it's going to be a whole different approach. So you're going to
Yeah.
have to learn lighting and the posing. It's going to be obviously different than what you were doing as like say a family photographer.
Yeah, and I would put in there like, yeah, don't be afraid to learn something new. Don't be afraid to adapt. A lot of photographers that I see trying to make transitions feel stagnant maybe in their other photography, but sometimes it comes down to like, have you done anything to evolve your craft in
Mhm.
general first before you start thinking, well, it has to be that this type of photography is no longer uh, suitable or something like that. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I feel like every photographer, like I can't imagine anything that's I have known that's not going to keep moving forward, but it is something of like, because we are in that market, there is so much on social media and everything, and there are a lot of photographers. I just also, if you say you are a family photographer and you love being a family photographer, um, or you're a headshot photographer and you love that, but maybe you're not seeing people coming in your doors. Yeah, is there something different that you need to start,
mhm.
you know, your approach maybe needs to be a little bit different.
So a little bit more about your podcast. So what inspired you to start the one behind the lens?
Well, kind of going back to what we were talking about, like what I wish I would have known when I first started out. So the podcast is more for photographers in their like first 1 to 5, 1 to 3 years. Um, so that you can listen to really good information and like some these, most of like take notes from down from a lot of this.
Mhm.
Um, so that was one of the reasons. And then I have a podcast like, and time with it. And I was just like, I really love this. And I wanted to be able to do something with the business,
Mhm.
um, and incorporate podcasting in it. So those were kind of the two reasons.
And, the show also gives a platform for other photography stories as well.
Yes.
Um, so that's a big part of it. What's your goal in creating these types of conversations?
Just really for those well, kind of two things, I guess. Those photographers listening, if you are in those first years, to really, get really great information. Also, maybe learn from a photographer you had never heard about, or a business coach that you've never heard about, and be like, oh, I really like this person. And maybe I need a business coach and I want to work with her. I'm going to reach out. So you're getting information during the podcast, but it's like resources as well. And then for the photographers and um, creatives that are on the podcast, it's also them reaching another audience as well, that again, maybe they had never heard of them.
Mm.
And and for me, it's just great. Like I just love to talk, and I love to learn about people. And um I've been learning so much too. So it's been.
So, last one or two questions. How do you see the headshot industry evolving in the next few years? And how does social media play a role in shaping what headshots are going to look like in the future?
I do think it's gonna keep evolving into more of like lifestyle,
Mhm.
and people. I mean, like I said, I do more of like the head and shoulder, but I will do like the lifestyle branding. Um, but I do think it is going to evolve more into that. And because people with social media, like we talked about, people just want to see who you are. And it doesn't even have to be like this big branding thing. Like most of my headshots that I have that were done here, that another photographer and I just did like some swaps. Um, it's mostly me. Like I was like, all I'm doing is laughing in these pictures because I was feeling, we were just having a great time.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, but that's me. So that's what's going to go on my website.
Yeah.
But and like in social media and things like that. I do think well, right now we're into the like we just want to know everything about everyone. So
Mhm.
it might not even be like your face, the branding of like just seeing, your camera in your hands and things like that. So I feel like I do see it evolving more, like I said, like more of a lifestyle kind of branding.
Yeah, totally. Taking them out of the office and out into the world that
Hmm.
they're a part of. Yeah, I can see that
Hmm.
being the next steps.
And just
Um,
people wanting to know who you are, in the sense of like it's not just you. And I mean, I see this with high school senior photography too. Is
yeah.
like you can take really nice. I constantly am like, do you drink? Like, and this is for headshots and seniors, where I'm like, do you wear do you love this certain shirt or certain colors? Like we don't have to be um in like I think back, the day is like a suit for your headshot.
Yeah.
You can show off your personality even in that way. Like I love pink, and so I'm gonna wear pink, or type thing.
Mhm.
Or the glasses that I have on. Like I've had so many people, if I have my photo with these glasses, they're like, oh my gosh, I love those red glasses. And so now they've kind of become like a signature thing. So
Yeah.
kind of like people thinking outside the box of who they are.
So, as we go towards the future, are you exploring anything new in this niche? Are you tapping into those things? Are you seeing more branded style photography? Are those things that you're more comfortable with incorporating into the future?
Yeah, I'm comfortable, definitely comfortable in that. And I feel like the biggest thing, because what I do more of, like, say, the head and shoulder is incorporating like your different style. Like, you don't have to do, if you're like, I don't need a whole branding, like when you think of branding, like getting out of, being in a coffee shop, even though you're a
Yeah.
lawyer or whatever. Like, if you don't want to say that, think of like, maybe you're not wearing a tie in these shots,
Yeah.
or, where, like, say, a lawyer would, or just throwing in your personality just a little bit. And as a photographer, your clients probably aren't going to know. They're not just going to walk in and be like, well, I'm throwing my personality. Like, they're just like, I know I need headshots. So you have to be the one that's educating them. Like,
Yeah.
hey, do you want to do X, Y, and X, Y, and Z? Do you want to throw something personal in? And it can even be, I've had where, have men in where they're like, well, I know for sure I need something with a suit,
Hmm.
but then can I just do one, like, say, without the jacket and the tie? Super simple. Like, they're not having to bring in a whole new wardrobe, but something just simple as that you can tie in.
Yeah. Just a little bit more personality, and you being the curator. Photographers need to be the curator at the end of the day of making sure they're crafting what their clients wanting, but making their personality shine the most.
Yes. Yes.
So, Kate, how are ways people can find you? How can they find your podcast?
Yeah, so you can hear that on any major platform, Apple, Spotify, all that fun stuff. And it's The One Behind the Lens with Kate DeCoste. So if you just type that in, you'll be able to find that. And you can also find it on my website as well, but katedecostephotography.com. But you can definitely just find it on those major platforms.
Amazing. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for spending time with us, sharing your knowledge for headshot photography. And yeah, please give it a listen to our podcast. There's way more information there, especially specific for photographers in general. So check it out.
Yay!
The Focus Shift podcast is presented by PhotoBiz, the best website solution for photographers. Whether you're launching your site or scaling your online business, PhotoBiz has your back. To get started for free, visit photobiz.com today.